The first wave hit Tokyo at dawn. Commander Yuki Tanaka watched from the command center as the creatures tore through the eastern districts like a tsunami of chitin and fury. They called them the Krell, eight-legged nightmares that stood 3 meters tall, with mandibles that could shear through steel and acid that dissolved concrete into smoking pools. They had come from a rift in the sky, a tear in reality itself that hung over the Pacific like a wound in the fabric of space. Humanity had faced them for 72 hours. 72 hours of retreat, of evacuation, of watching their weapons bounce uselessly off alien hide. The Krell were engineered perfection, biological weapons designed to consume and conquer. Earth was just another world in their path. All forces fall back to the Shibuya line, Tanaka ordered, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. Behind her, holographic displays showed red indicators spreading like infection across the city map. 16 million people. That's how many souls depended on the thin line of soldiers, tanks, and desperation holding the center of Tokyo. Lieutenant James Morrison, on loan from the U.S. Marine Corps, stood beside her. His face was grim. "Commander, with respect, we can't hold Shibuya. We've lost every position we've tried to defend. These things, they're too fast, too strong. We need to evacuate the remaining civilians and nuke the entire grid." Tanaka's jaw tightened. "Nuke Tokyo, admit defeat. Let the Krell have Earth's greatest city as a foothold for their invasion." She looked at the screens again, at the thermal signatures of her soldiers dying in real time, at the massive orange blobs representing Krell swarms, at the thin blue line that grew thinner by the minute. "No," she said quietly. Morrison blinked. "Commander, humans don't surrender our cities, Lieutenant. Not to these things. Not today." She turned to her communications officer. "Get me every unit commander still alive. I don't care if they're army, police, or civilian militia. Patch them all through." Within minutes, faces appeared on the screens. Dirty, bloodied, exhausted faces. A Japanese tank commander with his arm in a makeshift sling. An Indian UN peacekeeper with ash on her face. A Brazilian pilot whose fighter jet had been grounded by Krell acid. A Nigerian engineer who'd been rigging explosives in the subway tunnels. Dozens more. Tanaka looked at them all. "I won't lie to you. We're losing. By every tactical measure, we should evacuate and let them have Tokyo. But I've been thinking about why we're losing, and I've realized something. We've been fighting like them, like biological weapons designed for one purpose. We forgot what makes us human." She brought up a new image. Architectural diagrams of Tokyo's infrastructure. The Krell are hunters, predators. They're stronger and faster than us, but they think like animals. They chase movement. They respond to threats. They don't plan, they react. But we're the species that built this entire city on an earthquake zone and made it work. We're the species that turned deserts into gardens and went to the moon with computers weaker than a smartphone. We don't just adapt, we engineer solutions. Morrison was watching her carefully now. "What are you proposing? We stop fighting like soldiers and start fighting like humans, like builders, like engineers, like the stubborn, creative, absolutely insane species we are." She pointed to the subway systems, the electrical grids, the gas lines. "Tokyo isn't just a battlefield, it's a machine, and we're going to use every part of it." The plan came together in minutes. It was desperate, improvised, and completely insane. The Nigerian engineer, Dr. Adebayo, would rig the subway tunnels to flood with seawater from Tokyo Bay. The Brazilian pilot, Captain Silva, would use her grounded fighters to create electrical storms by dropping power lines onto the flooded areas. The tank commander would bait the Krell into kill zones. Civilians with construction equipment would collapse specific buildings to channel the swarm into prepared positions. "They're attracted to vibration and heat," Tanaka explained. "So we give them a target they can't resist, the entire city transformed into a trap." It took 6 hours to prepare. 6 hours of coordinated chaos as soldiers became engineers and engineers became tacticians. The Krell kept coming, kept pushing, kept killing, but humanity stopped retreating. At midnight, Tanaka gave the order. The Shibuya district erupted with sound, every siren, every car alarm, every speaker system blaring at maximum volume. The Krell turned as one, their collective intelligence sensing prey, sensing victory. They surged forward in a chittering wave, right into the flooded subway tunnels. The first 1,000 Krell drowned in seawater before they understood the trap. Then Captain Silva's fighters dropped their payload, high-voltage power lines that turned the water into an electrified death zone. Krell by the hundreds spasmed and died, their nervous systems overloaded, but more kept coming. The swarm adapted, climbing over their dead, finding higher ground. That's when Dr. Adebayo triggered the gas lines, creating a wall of fire that consumed oxygen faster than the Krell could breathe.
Tank rounds found their mark in the chaos?
Not trying to penetrate armor, but to herd the creatures into prepared kill zones. Building after building came down in controlled demolitions, crushing Krell beneath tons of rubble. The creatures were strong, but they couldn't lift an entire skyscraper. They were fast, but they couldn't outrun a collapsing structure. For the first time since the invasion began, humans weren't running. They were fighting on their terms in their city, using their tools. The battle raged until dawn. When the sun rose over Tokyo, the Krell swarm was broken. Thousands lay dead in the streets, drowned, electrocuted, burned, crushed. The survivors fled back toward the rift, their collective intelligence finally understanding something it had never encountered before. Prey that fought back with intelligence, creativity, and an absolute refusal to quit. Tanaka stood in the ruins of Shibuya, surrounded by exhausted soldiers and civilians. Morrison approached her, covered in soot and grime. "They'll be back," he said, "probably with more." "Let them come," Tanaka replied. "Because now we know the secret. The Krell are perfect biological weapons, but we're humans. We're not perfect, we're better. We adapt, we build, we turn our entire world into a weapon if we have to, and we never ever stop fighting for our home." Above them, the rift in the sky pulsed ominously, but for the first time since the invasion began, humanity looked up at it without fear. They had learned the most important lesson. The Krell were designed to conquer worlds. Humans were designed to make the impossible possible, and they were just getting started.